Thanks, Lauren. After being cooped up all winter, summer means fun in the sun here in Western New York. But when it comes to protecting your skin against its harmful rays, it's not all that fun. Melanoma and other forms of skin cancer affect more than 2 million people each year, yet can be avoided with simple protection. We're joined today by Dr. Nikhil Kushalani from Roswell Park Cancer Institute, because today is a day to raise awareness for skin cancer of all sorts. It is National Melanoma Monday. So my first question for you is, can you kind of address what exactly melanoma is?
Thank you for having me on the show. Melanoma is a type of skin cancer, and in fact is the deadliest type of skin cancer. It affects roughly about 75,000 individuals in the United States on an annual basis, and close to 10,000 people unfortunately succumb to this deadly form of skin cancer. It arises typically from what are referred to as the melanocytes. These are the cells in the skin that give it its traditional color. So the more exposure to sun that we have, the more tan that we appear, the melanocytes increase and multiply within the skin.
Now, you mentioned exposure to sun. I feel like that is something that everybody, no matter what their lifestyle is, eventually goes outside and is exposed to sun. So do you think that people maybe don't know the risks that they're exposing themselves to on a daily basis with this?
I think that's absolutely right. The important issue is not necessarily to avoid going out in the sun. We are tropical animals by definition as humans, and we have to be out in the sun. But the trick is doing it smartly and doing it well, and taking the appropriate precaution when we are out in the sun, particularly from times from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. where the sun's rays are at its hottest, essentially, because the sun emits what's called ultraviolet lights or ultraviolet rays A, B, and C. C is trapped within the ozone layer, so it doesn't reach us, thankfully so. A and B are what reach us and can actually cause the blistering in the skin, which on repetitive exposure, particularly with intensity of exposure, can eventually lead to the development of melanoma. So the importance is doing it smartly, taking appropriate precautions, including sunscreen on all of the exposed areas of the body, and using sunscreen regularly and liberally, particularly when you're out in the sun. And more importantly, not believing that just one application of sunscreen is adequate to be out 4 or 5 hours. Typically, the American Academy of Dermatology suggests that every couple of hours that you're out, particularly when you're exposed to water or if you're sweating, you should liberally apply it again.
You know, when I hear about skin cancer, the first thing I start to think about is tanning beds. Now, are we to understand that tanning beds are, very bad for your skin, and it's sort of...
Absolutely. In fact, the WHO, the World Health Organization, as well as the International Association for Research on Cancer, has clearly labeled tanning beds as carcinogenic, and they can certainly contribute to the development of melanoma. Unfortunately, I have patients in my practice who have developed it likely from exposure to tanning beds, and of course from intense sun exposure as well.
No, so for the families out there that love to enjoy some time outside, they want to maybe get as much exposure to the sun after being cooped up all winter.
True.
What besides suntan lotion can they be doing to make sure that they're not putting their family at risk?
Well, I think being smart about it, not spending too much time outdoors, spending a small amount of time and then coming back indoors, wearing floppy hats, wearing light long sleeve cotton, particularly in areas that are exceedingly hot, and of course using the sunscreen. I think it is also important for people to be aware of their own bodies and doing a mole check, as we call it. There's a very simple test on the American Academy of Dermatology website that one can do and look like, do what's called a mole spot checker. Teaches you how to do a self-examination. And I think it's important to recognize the A, B, C, D, and now E of melanoma, where if you have a mole, and all of us are born with multiple moles, from our childhood, where there's an asymmetry, one part of the mole looks different from the other, the borders become irregular, the colors start changing, or the mole is starting to evolve or increase in size. These are immediate warning signs that you should seek dermatology, an evaluation by a dermatologist or a surgeon.
And of course, when we're talking about these serious health matters, there's always so much more we can talk about. And we're putting a website right on your screen, www.roswellpark.org. For more information, you can always head over there. Thank you so much for joining us today,
My pleasure. Thank you.